What's going on, everybody? My name's Nick, and today I am going to be talking about Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, episodes 1 and 2. And I gotta say, it seems like I have a pretty hot take on this show. I did not hate it so far. So I'm going to be talking about some of the things I liked, some of the things I disliked, and what I hope happens in episode 3 and even in the rest of the season. So with that, to start, I'm going to go ahead and say episode 1 I really did not like. I think in episode 1, Galadriel's character is just totally awful. She is a terrible leader. She is putting her own people in harm's way for no apparent reason that she can give them. And it's really bad to me. I cannot empathize with her. She's on this quest for revenge because her brother was killed, 1,000 years ago. I don't know how long it actually is supposed to be, but presumably a very long time ago. And she is on this mindless hunt for revenge, putting everyone in danger, not realizing why people don't want to help her. It's really hard to empathize with her. She's doing such a poor job that the king of the elves, instead of getting her in trouble for disobeying his orders, actually just decides to send her away. He's like, you know what? Go ahead. Galadriel, you are so amazing for all of your dedication. We're actually just going to let you go to heaven. Please, just leave. And then, of course, she is conflicted and decides to just swim across an ocean because, no, she's not going to do that. So Galadriel, episode 1, she's an extremely bad character in my opinion, and she got lucky that it turns out she's right. And I really hope that this isn't setting her up to be like a Galadriel can do no wrong, because she's obviously doing a poor job as a leader and getting lucky that she's right. And I hope that the showrunners don't turn that into the case that like, oh, Galadriel's always right and we're always setting her up to be right. I hope that's not the case. Another issue that I have with episode 1 is that it takes an extremely long time for them to introduce all of the characters, that they seem to have forgotten that they also have a story to be introduced. So episode 1 ends up being just like, hey, here's all these characters, here's a very base level view of what they are like. And then episode 2 actually gives us like, okay, here's the beginning of the story and where it's going with them. Now, to me, episode 2 feels like it should have been how the first episode went. And I enjoyed episode 2 overall. To start, I hated the Galadriel part for, I think, obvious reasons. It's an absolutely useless episode for her. Nothing happens for her at all. She's swimming across an ocean, and it to me, as soon as I saw her jump in the water, and I'm like, is she really going to just swim the entire episode? And at the end of episode 1, and then we get to episode 2, and yeah, she is. And then she eventually finds a raft, and of course, oh, we need something to happen because this is boring as hell. Sea monster. It's just, I didn't like that part. I hate Galadriel so far. In the first 2 episodes, I hate what she's doing, which is absolutely nothing. So that's my harp on the things I disliked about that. Now in episode 2, I gotta say, I really enjoyed the Elrond and the dwarf storyline. I like how we're getting brought into a kind of fractured relationship between Elrond and his dwarf friend, who is the prince of these dwarves in Khazad-dûm. And I like it's kind of because of something that he just doesn't realize. Obviously, and we see this through episode 1 and then into episode 2, Elrond is a politician in this show. And I really get the sense of that. It seems like he doesn't go to anyone unless he needs or wants something from them. And then he's like, oh, hey, we're friends, right? And I think his name's Durin. And Durin is like, no, you're not just going to come here after 20 years and try to act like we're best buddies and that you know me so well. And I really like how, we get to see elves are very lucky. Well, a lot of people would say lucky, but elves are apparently very lucky in that they are immortal beings. They live forever. And the other races, dwarves included, don't have that luxury. So it's kind of cool seeing how the dwarf is like, hey, dude, I understand for you 20 years is nothing. Like, you've probably been alive for 2,000 years. 20 years is nothing. But for the rest of us that have an actual lifespan, it's a lot. And I liked that relationship and that, like, reality slap that an elf is getting. Like, oh yeah, you're right. The elves are taking for granted the fact that they are immortal. Not everyone is. Now, another storyline that I liked so far is the elf guard. I think his name is Arendir. I like his story, at least what it looks like so far. I like how he's kind of a different type of elf. He's kind of thoughtful, and he's very inquisitive, while the rest of his companions are just ready to get out of here and go home. He likes this place. He likes the humans, and a human in particular. And he's enjoying this place that he's been in, I think he's like the last 80 years, 89 years, something like that. You know, and I'm pretty much talking about episode 2. Because again, episode 1, not much happens except a feel for the characters. So it's like we get to see this village just totally empty, but on fire. So obviously something happened. There's these tunnels underground, and then obviously turns out there's these tunneling orcs. And it's cool. I like all of that. I think it's a cool storyline that's beginning and that's going on. I like the potential that one has, right? You have this weird Sauron / Morgoth artifact that this little boy finds. To me, at first glance, it looks like, and it seems like one of the, I think they're called Morgul blades, that we see being held by the Ringwraiths in The Lord of the Rings. But, you know, there's just a lot getting set up. And we actually get to see things happening. There's action going on, and it's actually fun and cool and interesting, unlike episode 1. Now, the Harfoots. I have mixed feelings about this one. I don't hate them. I'm not liking them as much as, say, the Hobbits that I've seen in the movies. Now, I know this one is going to get a ton of flack from the fan base, because at least from what I've been able to see and what I've read and what I think is the case, is hobbits are not in this age, and they should not be in this age. So I'm sure that alone is going to make a majority of the previous fans, especially of the books, very upset. And I gotta say, I don't mind it that much. I'm not mad at it. I don't really like how they are setting up Nori, right? It just seems like, oh, this is the Hobbits, and they're totally not Frodo and Sam. You have Nori, who is apparently caring and wants to help this old guy that fell from the sky, and then her friend, who's just a chubby version that is distrustful of this weird guy that fell from the sky and is only helping her because of friendship. Like, it's totally not Frodo and Sam, right? So I'm not mad at it. I'm not that interested in the story so far. I think that the person falling, I think it's just going to be one of the wizards. I hope it's not Gandalf, because I don't think that Gandalf should be in this. I kind of want to see like one of the other wizards. It would make sense to me if it was like Saruman, because Saruman in the movies was, and in the books as well, obviously is like the leader of the wizards. So it would make sense why it would be an early Saruman that has not been corrupted by power yet. But if it turned out to be Gandalf, I could see that with how they're setting it up. because Gandalf is like the only wizard, especially, to be super friendly to the hobbits, and he has a like very distinct love for the hobbits and the hobbit people. So it's kind of like, to me, it looks kind of like they're setting up like, oh, this is why he loves the hobbits so much, because their ancestors, the Harfoots, were so nice to him and did all of this stuff for him. I could see that happening, and I would be a little bit disappointed if that were the case. So I hope that's not. But overall, episode 1, I did not like it, did not care for it. Episode 2, I think it's better than episode 1. And I hope whenever episode 3 comes out, it can build off of what's going on and we get some action and it's not so boring as episode 1 especially. And we actually start getting the ball rolling on some of these stories. So that's overall my thoughts on episode 1 and 2. If you liked this, please like, subscribe, and everyone, thanks for watching.